As we look at the kind of turmoil we are embroiled in now as a nation, where anyone other than a heterosexual white male is wanted in America, there is an effort underway to eradicate America of anyone other than whites.
Next item is the proclamation for African American History Month.
Thank you, Vice Chair Fournier. So today we join in paying tribute to the generations of African Americans who have faced adversity to achieve full citizenship in American society and who still continue to overcome injustices today. We want to recognize the achievements of these members in Thurston County who contribute to our community's rich history and culture. We will now start our program and hear from various leaders who have shaped Thurston County and continue to make Thurston County great. We will start with Larry Jefferson, and I will go ahead and introduce him. Larry Jefferson has been a public defense attorney in Thurston County for more than 16 years and previously worked as a public defender in Kent and Seattle. He helped establish Thurston County's pretrial diversion program, First Look program, True Blood Diversion Program, and Felony Leadership Improvement Project. Mr. Jefferson managed the county's juvenile court and juvenile drug court for 3 years. He has received the Thurston County Bigelow Best Attorney Award and the Local Hero Award and the Washington State Bar Association. He is currently the president of the NAACP. Thank you, Mr. Jefferson.
Thank you for having me here today. Again, my name is Larry Jefferson, and at this moment I am the president of the NAACP of Thurston County. When I look around this room and look at the county commissioners, what I see is a group of heroes. This is a historic moment. It's a historic time. There are lots of things that I guess are going wrong. We've had a long history. In fact, and this history is tied to the foundation of this country. I recently heard at a Martin Luther King ceremony that we had a foundation of folks that believed in life, liberty, and the pursuit of justice, and they wrote a document and a constitution, but it only applied to some of us and not all of us. And we have fought a civil war where it did not apply to all of us, and it only applied to some of us. And after that Civil War, citizens, black citizens who lived in Alabama, what they wanted to do was to make sure that everybody got access to housing, education, and food. And yet that was fought against. And in 1877, there was a great compromise. And so after that time, the troops that were there to guard people after the Civil War left, and a time of domestic terrorism started. And some say it never really finished. But we have had a time where we had a black president. And we are now living in a time where there is a reaction to that. And there are people that are not like us, that for some reason believe in the deprivation of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And so what I see here is a group of heroes, of folks who want to stand up against injustice, a group of people who want to make sure that everyone is included, no matter what your gender identity is, the color of your skin, that in Thurston County, if I can steal a little bit from someone who is a little bit more poetic than I am, if I could just find it right here. Well, I can't, and that's why I can't rely on phones all the time. But if I could steal a little bit from Maya Angelou, that, you may say, bitter and twisted lies in your history. You may seek just to make sure that we're not included, yet we can see a performance like Kendrick Lamar's at the halftime show of the Super Bowl, which said that I am a proud black man. We do have dignity. We have built this country with our bodies. And what I see happening in Thurston County is that we are rising to the occasion that in Thurston County, we believe in home for everyone. We are rising together. And so I'm really proud to live in a community where I don't have to, or as a Black man, I can feel comfortable knowing that the county commissioners and the citizens here believe that this is for all of us. And so I really thank you for having us here today, and thank you for listening to me. Thank you very much.
Dr. Jackson. Dr. Thelma Jackson is a respected community leader and advocate with a career spanning over 50 years in education, equity, and diversity. She served on the North Thurston School Board for 2 decades, was president of the Evergreen State College Board of Trustees, and was one of the founding members of the Black Alliance of Thurston County. She retired in 2020. I'll say that retired lightly, from Foresight Consultants, a firm specializing in educational issues, equity, diversity, policymaking, strategic planning, and executive coaching. Dr. Jackson continues to drive impactful change as the administrator of the Northwest Institute for Leadership and Change, a celebrated historian and author of the published book, Blacks in Thurston County, Washington, 1950 through 1975, a community album, which chronicles the rich history of the Black community in the region. She currently serves as a treasurer and board member for the NAACP of Thurston County. Thank you, Dr. Jackson.
Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you, Board of Commissioners. Your acknowledgement today of Black History Month is in a series of proclamations that you've made, and we're only into the middle of February. You honored Dr. Martin Luther King in January. You had a proclamation against hatred and racism in the county and proclaimed your commitment to DEI. And now you proclaim Black History Month, and for that we are deeply appreciative. I would like to start my comments by saying that in 1619, more than 400 years ago, there landed on the eastern coast of this country, 20 plus kidnapped Africans, which was the beginning of the enslavement of many, many more millions to come. That 1619 project paints a picture of what American history has been like and where enslaved people have been a part of it. Many efforts are underway to destroy the 1619 project and any other historical reference to the kind of country that America started out being. It's just one example of the typical attempts to rewrite history. And as we talk about African American history, we are talking about American history. It's not a separate history. And from more than 400 years ago, African Americans have been here. As we look at the kind of turmoil we are embroiled in now as a nation, where anyone other than a heterosexual white male is wanted in America, there is an effort underway to eradicate America of anyone other than whites. And we know that as Black people, we count in that number. The whole history that talks about Reconstruction and the efforts that were put forth and the progress that was made was just flipped overnight, as Larry talked about. We're almost living through another period of Reconstruction where everything is attempted to be flipped. Our history is a story of contributions, untold heroes, heroines, sheroes, and daredevils. And when we think in terms of the trials, tribulations, successes, and victories that are mostly untold, so once a year in the month of February, we turn some attention to African American or Black History Month so that we can revisit, we can recognize, we can be reminded about the inclusion of this group of people who are really the only people on this soil other than our native brothers and sisters who are here involuntarily. People seem to forget that. And while we now are a nation of immigrants from all over the world, of those groups, we're the only group here involuntarily. And so as we look at the efforts underway to eradicate DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, it's by design that those things in the flip of a switch are being removed all over. And it's to your credit as a county, as county commissioners, that you took the bold position that you did, reinforcing your commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion. And as we see the public outcry happening all over this country, every day there's a new headline to react to before we can even absorb yesterday's headline. And there are many more days to come. We don't know which shoe is going to drop next or which group is going to be most affected by whatever action is going on. And I made a comment in an earlier speech where I talked about the fact that while we all came on different ships to this country, we are now in the same boat together. And so we in the African American community look at the contributions, look at the successes that have happened, look at how we've played such a critical role in the making of America on the backs of free labor and to become the most industrialized, successful nation in the world. There's a history as to how that came about. There's a history as to who helped make that happen. And so this Black History Observance time is a very special time for us because Black history is every day for us, not just the month of February, but it's a time that others pay it some attention. So when we think in terms of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, that was won on the blood, sweat, and tears of the African American community more than any other group, yet all have benefited from it. The Voting Rights Act that we never would have thought we would be fighting to restore the right to vote again. So these things are being revisited. These things are attempted to be stripped away. And so at this time in our history, when we think in terms of Dr. Carter, who was the father of what started out to be Negro History Week and now has grown into Black History Month, he made the statement that those who have no record of what their forebears have accomplished lose the inspiration which comes from the teaching of biography and history. And so it's a time for reflection for everyone, not just for African Americans, but for America in general. And not just the contributions of African Americans, but any other ethnic group that have contributed to the well-being of this country. So we thank you for the proclamation you're making today. And we know that it is in the spirit that previous proclamations have been made. And for that, I thank you. So I'll just close with a few words from Maya Angelou that Larry already referenced. It's not the same word, but the same poet. And she said, "You may write me down in history with your bitter, twisted lies. You may trod me in the very dirt, but still, like dust, I'll rise." Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Jackson. Next, I would love to introduce Merritt Long. At heart, Merritt is a storyteller. Born and raised in Bessemer, Alabama, just outside of Birmingham, Merritt lived through the years of Jim Crow laws, segregation, and outright racism. Education was a pathway his parents endowed him with, and he graduated from Morehouse College in Atlanta with his bachelor's degree and Seattle University with his master's degree. The storyteller emerged as he wrote, then published his inspirational memoir, My View from the Back of the Bus, in 2020. Merritt chronicles his life, challenges, and triumphs as he navigates through a world that sought to suppress him, but in which he ultimately rises professionally and personally. An Olympia resident for almost 50 years, Merritt has been involved in a variety of community organizations. He and his wife, Marcia, founded the Learning Seed Foundation, which has awarded almost $650,000 to primarily students of color who are continuing their education past high school. Merritt?
Thank you, Commissioner. As you were reading my bio for a moment there, it was like, who is that guy? Yes, that's me. Well, thank you so much, Commissioners, for having us here today. And I also want to just take a second to acknowledge my colleagues that are presenting, Dr. Thelma Jackson. Okay, Thelma. And Barrister Larry. So glad that I'm fortunate enough to be on the program today with those two individuals. Today is very serendipitous for me because about 18 years ago, when I was the lottery director, I was asked by the chair of the liquor board to make a presentation during Black History Month. And the presentation that I made was my first bus ride. And in making that presentation, that became the impetus and the start of my book, My View from the Back of the Bus. And as a side note, I have been fortunate to have time with a number or several iconic figures, and someone who was one of the leaders, one of the trailblazers in the civil rights movement. I was able to sit next to in Yakima, Washington, and that was Rosa Parks. So first of all, I'm just spellbound and didn't know what to say. And finally, when I got nervous enough to say something, I introduced myself, and she said to me, "Merritt, what are you doing way out here?" It was like sugar. And ironically, my mom and my grandmother had passed away prior to that time. And I felt once I was next to Sister Rosa, they were next to me. All of us were together. So that's a feeling that I will never forget. What I'm going to do is focus on one individual who has impacted my life and impacted the world, and that's Muhammad Ali. And I was fortunate enough in 1967 to meet him and have time with him on 3 different occasions. And if everyone is willing, I will share what happened. Is that okay?
Oh, yeah.
Right. In 1967, I was a junior at Morehouse College. I was leaving the campus of our sister school, Spelman College, when I noticed an immaculate white 4-door Cadillac making a left turn entering Spelman College campus. The Cadillac screeched to a halt. To my surprise, the black tinted window on the back seat passenger side rolled down. To my surprise, it was Muhammad Ali. He poked his head out of the window and said, "Do you know where Spelman College is at?" And my first thought, I flashed back to my 9th grade teacher, who would say, "You never end a sentence with a preposition." So one self of mine was, okay, Merritt, you need to let the champ know, because you're out and about, you're around the world, you might want to watch that. You might want to deal with that a little different. Now, that was one self. The other self said to self, "Are you crazy, man? Are you going to try to correct the champ?" Fortunately, self got the best of my other self. And I said, "Mrs. Chapman, I'm sorry, but I'm not going to do anything to correct the champ." So that was my first encounter with Muhammad Ali. That day, or the day after I gave direction to Muhammad Ali at Spelman College, he walked into my religion and philosophy class led by Dr. Rogers at Clark College. All of a sudden, we had a visiting professor. Ali just walked into the class, and by simply walking into the class, Dr. Rogers immediately moved out of the way and pushed himself back to the wall. Now, I've been around since then, and not so much then, but I've never seen one person walk into the room and the person who's in charge just get out of the way. So it was like, man, this is a powerful dude. Muhammad Ali proceeded to give the class a lecture about the negative connotations associated with the word black and the positive attributes associated with the word white. His observations included white hat, good guy, black hat, bad guy, angel food cake, white, devil food cake, black, black male, bad, black hair, nappy, curly hair, white lie, good, not so bad, black magic, evil, black cat, bad luck, white angels, good, good hair, straight hair. This impromptu lecture provided by Muhammad Ali focused on how he felt some white people tried to consciously and subconsciously influence the thinking and self-concept of black people and perceptions of black people by associating negativity, in some case evil, with the word black. Muhammad Ali, in conclusion, was someone people either loved or hated, no in between. Those who loved him hung on his every word like honey from the heavens. Our taste always led to another, and then another, and then another. There's no such thing as getting full on only brief moments of satisfaction. Ali's fan became part of his mojo, their love, their loyalty, their energy, smiles, and constant adulation provided that boost to take his skills and endurance to another level when facing a formidable opponent. The connection between Ali and his fans resembled a two-way power surge. First, he would power up the fans, and then the fans would send their energy to him, a winning combination. From the evolution of the Louisville Lip named Cassius Clay to the draft-dodging communist named Muhammad Ali to the enduring legacy he left behind, Ali's life and times embodied the period in which he lived. He personified an era that questioned authority, demonstrated the power that one person can exert, and helped to dispel the myths and stereotypes of being black in America. He was instrumental in causing me to rethink how I thought about myself, the world, and how I might make a difference in the broader world. A true role model, he exemplified the truism that one person can make a difference. One person can make a difference. And actually, one person is really the theme and the bottom line of my comments. I think about the commissioners, all of you, when you were running for office and you were elected. I'm sure you came to office with at least one specific issue, at least one that you want to pursue, whether that was environmentally related, whether that was in housing, affordable housing, access to housing, health care, the list goes on and on. But one of the things that I would think and believe, and I'm sure you do, and that is you have to come together as one. Because individually, you're not going to be able to achieve the goal. You won't be able to do it, but collectively, you can. Last comment, Marcia and I, Commissioner Carolina talked about the Learning Seed Foundation. That's been our lane. That's what we said we were going to focus on and make that a priority. And I know with all the talent in this room, a number of people are doing just what I said in terms of the focus on one, if not several things. With those comments, I conclude my remarks.
Thank you, Merritt. I really want to thank all of our speakers today for coming here today, and as well as all of those who are joining us in this celebration of this proclamation. I want to take a moment to highlight that as you've heard, many of these are authors, and I have some of the books up here if you would like to continue to educate yourself on your journey and educate about some amazing members of our community who have done amazing things and are published authors. And I think there is some information on where these books are available outside. But again, I'm just very thankful to have such incredible members living here in Thurston County and contributing so much to our community. With that, Chair, would you like me to read the proclamation?
Yes, please.
Thank you. So the Thurston County Proclamation for African American History Month. Whereas in 1619, 20-plus kidnapped Africans were brought to these shores for more than 250 years, millions of human beings of African descent were enslaved and were regarded as 3/5 of a person by the U.S. Constitution. And whereas, as a result of the determination, hard work, and perseverance against all odds, Black Americans have made valuable and lasting contributions in all aspects of society. And whereas during African American History Month, it started in 1976, the many achievements and contributions made by African Americans to our cultural, spiritual, political, and economic development are celebrated. And whereas the NAACP champions racial justice and aims to improve the political, educational, social, and economic status of all, eliminating racial prejudice and raising awareness against discrimination across Thurston County and the state of Washington. And whereas African American authors play a crucial role in preserving and celebrating history and community memory, and their books are distributed in bookstores both locally and nationally. And whereas Black history is past, present, and future, while commemorating the outstanding legacy and strength of Black people is important, commitment to empowering a successful future is just as critical. Black history is not just something of the past, it is living and alive and is being made every single day. Now, therefore, be it resolved, the Board of the Thurston County Commissioners hereby proclaim February 2024 as Black History Month in Thurston County and calls on all residents to actively engage in events, discussions, and reflections that honor the immense contributions of African Americans to our community and our nation. Adopted this 18th day of February 2025.
We're going to take a brief recess. Before we do that, I have to make a confession. I skipped over something. I saw Dr. Jackson come in and I got really excited about hearing her talk. So I forgot to ask for approval of the agenda. And I didn't want to keep her waiting. So is there a motion to approve the agenda?
I move to approve the agenda.
I second.
All right. We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? All right. Now, if you'd like to join us for a picture out on the steps, we'll do that next.